It is February, which means it's time to pull my socks up and get to work on my Winter TBR. So I had 6 books on the Winter TBR that I wanted to read throughout December, January and February, and I read 1 in December and I read 1 in January. So that means I've now got 4 left to read by the end of this month, and they are Penance by Eliza Clark, Alice in the Fly by James Rice, The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley, and The Women by Kristen Hanna. And for some context, I would say I'm the most excited for Penance and the least excited for Alice in the Fly. But life is full of surprises, so we will see what happens. Hey guys! I am 116 pages into the Ministry of Time and I am really enjoying it. So let's talk a little bit about what this book is about. We are following 2 main characters. The first one I'd say the first one we meet is an unnamed character, and she is called a Bridge. That's her job, and that's what we kind of refer to her as, the Bridge. And she works for the government in a top secret project where basically they are investigating time travel, and they have managed to create a portal back in time, and they have extrapolated. Basically they've removed 5, I think it is, people from history and brought them back and brought them into 2023 or whenever this is. I think the book was first published 24, so it's the 2020s, okay? And each of those expats, they're called, is from a different year, a different point in history, and they've been brought to the modern day. And basically it's an experiment to see how they adjust to life in this new era and if they can even survive and what will happen. Now, each of those expats, as they're called, has been given a bridge, because obviously they can't just go out and be like, oh hi, I'm from 1847, nice to meet you. So they've got a Bridge who's basically acting, 1 as a housemate, 2 as a friend, and just a companion. So they've got someone to kind of guide them through this new world that they are like, what the heck is going on? And so these 2 have paired together. So our Bridge's expat is Commander Graham Gore. He's from 1847, a former Victorian polar explorer. It's so interesting, and this book has had me chuckling in public several times this morning. I went out, I read in a cafe for a bit, and then I also went for lunch in Wagamama, so I read there too. And I'm literally sat like reading this book going like it's funny. The main character, she is the Bridge, sorry, out of the 2 main characters. The Bridge she's telling us a story from her own, I guess, reflections on this whole period of time, and just the way she sees the world and the way she reads situations and then relays that to us as the reader. Her tone is just funny. And then Graham as well, her expat, he is a funny man, and she thinks he's funny and we think he's funny, and the whole situation, he's just like, the way he's phrasing things and then the way they're being relayed in the story is just funny. The way he's written, he is a funny character, and I think that's so well done by Kellyanne Bradley. And the vocabulary in this book is wild. Like, she knows so many words. There's been a few words that I have had to research what they mean. Several of them I've just moved on and hoped I picked it up correctly from the context, but there have been a couple that I've actually looked up, because there are a lot of good words in this book that I don't think I've ever heard before. I'm just really enjoying this book, and I'm really glad I've picked it up. One of my goals for today was to make some good progress and like to feel like I'm just actually starting to get into the story, because when I woke up this morning I'd only read 16 pages. I read 8 yesterday and 8 the day before when I started it, and I've now read 116, so I've read 100 pages today, so I feel like I can tick that off like yes, I have got into this book now, and I'm really glad I have. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Yay! I have to go to work, but it's getting so good. I just want to stay home and read it. I finished the book and it was sensational. I loved it. I loved it. The writing, the storyline. Like, how can somebody come up with such a cool premise and then also execute it so perfectly? Such a skill set. I feel like she should only be allowed to come up with a good idea or write it well, but she did both, and it was just exquisite. The vocabulary that she used, like, you know, sometimes I don't know if I said this already in a previous update, but you get the vibe of someone's thesaurus every single word, and it's just like word vomit. It just wasn't like that, but the words were so like big brain words, but they just flowed and they felt so natural. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, sometimes it feels like someone's just tried to make the words sound more impressive, but it takes the flow and it kind of makes it inauthentic. But it worked so well. It read, honestly, as if Callie Ann Bradley just knew all these words and they just slid right off her tongue. Like, it felt simultaneously completely effortless, but completely intentional. Like, it was just so brilliant the way she wrote it. The characters were charming and funny and lovely. The plot was exciting, emotional. It was fast-paced at times. It was like gasping, giggling, just so many different feelings. And then there was a bit of a moral stance in the book as well, because we're thinking about how can we change the past, so then naturally we're going to think about how can we change the future, or how are our consequences of today going to impact the world in 200 years when looking at the world 200 years ago, and how those moves and actions and movements have created the world we live in today. What world are we going to create for another 200 years down the line? But it was also like so wholesome and hopeful, and the final page, it was just lovely, and I just had a really, really great time. I did not think this was going to be a 5-star read for me, but it is. 5 stars. That's 2 this year already. We're on to a winner, guys. We are on to a winner. I'm very happy I read this book. I am 118 pages into The Women, and I've realised I haven't given any updates yet, but there's not too much to say other than I'm enjoying it. It's well written and is an interesting plot, and I'm having a good time. So yeah, I don't want to ramble forever just when that's literally all I've got to say, so I'm just going to stop. That was so beautiful. I've just read the last few pages with tears in my eyes. They haven't fallen, but they've been there, and a smile on my face like this.
How wonderful.
What a gorgeous, gorgeous story, and so sobering. Wow is the best word to describe the way I felt at the end of this book. It was so emotional and impactful. It really packed a punch, this book. The way Kristen Hannah writes is so clear and to the point, but filled with emotion and really beautiful writing. Not in too much of a whimsical, flimsy-flomsy way, but just impactful, but still kind of feels gentle, which feels wrong considering the content of this book. So it's about Frankie, who is a 20-year-old woman at the start of the book, who comes from a very, very privileged, wealthy family, and she has a very important interaction with someone at this early point in her life who says women can be heroes too, and she has never been told anything like that before, and this sentence really sticks with her. And she ends up going to war as an army nurse. She was already training as a nurse. Then her brother went to war, the Vietnam War, and she goes, oh my god, I could be a hero, I could be involved in this. And so she goes over to Vietnam herself and is a nurse, and it is traumatic, but both the best and worst years of her life. She makes the most amazing friendships and she really finds herself. She knows that she belongs here. She's making a huge difference to people's lives and she's doing brilliant work. But obviously the things she sees are horrific, and when she comes home, she brings home quite a lot of PTSD with her. In addition to that, when she comes home, she is expecting a warm welcome from her family and her country, and she does not get it. So it turns out that the media coverage of the war in the beginning was extremely unreliable. They were basically feigning that they were winning the war, that America was winning the war, which was not true. And so when it came to light, what was actually happening and the atrocities of what was really going on over there, the American people were not happy, which then meant that when the veterans came home, they received so much aggression, and the American people thought it was their fault. So they're coming home thinking like, oh my god, that was so awful, the things I've just witnessed, but I'm so proud of myself and I'm so proud to have served my country. And then they get back to that country who doesn't act as if they've served them at all, but acts as if they've been an awful, awful person and a part of something hugely awful. So that's obviously really hard. But the book is so hopeful. It's so important, and I didn't know anything about the Vietnam War before this, literally nothing. So to read it was really interesting, and I felt like I was learning a lot about a huge part of history, but from a very underspoken voice, which was the women there. Because when they came home as well, the people who weren't there didn't want to listen, because they either told them that is a miserable story, no one wants to hear it, or you're an awful person, you shouldn't have been there. Or, because even her own family is ashamed of her when she gets back. Or when she says, no, I was there, people are like, you weren't really there. Or, what they hear often, don't be silly, there were no women in the war. And she's like, I was literally there, but people just don't believe it. So it's really hard to find any support with going through that PTSD and working through it, because there just is no support available. Obviously she's got the support of her best friends who she made over there, who are a massive help to her and have a crazily big impact on her life. It really showed the influence of the people in your life and how important they can be in keeping you standing and just keeping you going and moving forward. And she really struggles with this, Frankie, when she gets back. She really struggles. But the story on the whole was so beautiful and sobering, yes, but hopeful and wholesome and important, and I'm really glad I've read it.
and I would really recommend you to read it too. I think my initial instinct is a 4.5 star. We'll see where that goes. I'm now going to move on to Alice and the Fly by James Bryce, which says, Miss Hayes has a new theory. She thinks my condition's caused by some traumatic incident from my past. Oh, okay. Common theme here. I keep deep-rooted in my mind. As soon as I come clean, I'll flood out all these tears and it'll all be okay and I won't be scared of them anymore. The truth is, I can't think of any single traumatic childhood incident to tell her. It's them. I'm just scared of them. It's that simple. This is a book about phobias and obsessions, isolation and dark corners. It's about families, friendships, and carefully preserved secrets, but above everything else, it's about love. Finding love in any of its forms and nurturing it. I have never heard anyone say anything about this book. I picked it up totally on a whim from a charity shop, and then it sat on my TBR cart ever since. And today it's starting. It is the 19th of February, so it's starting to feel a bit fine in terms of getting through this winter TBR and other things I had on my February TBR, because I still want to read Penance after this, and then other stuff that I was hoping to get to in February if I have time. But I'm going to make a start on Alice and the Fly today. I'll probably read like 5 pages today before I go to bed. It's pretty late, but hopefully get a bit more of it read tomorrow and over the next few days.
Time to see all your beauty and beyond.
So here we have a new chapter. First line, full stop, full stop, full stop. Second section, no full stops. In 1, 2, 3.5 pages, there's one here. And I don't love that. 70 pages later, we appear to have the same thing, so most of them are written with journal entry dates, but then I guess when we get these date unknowns, that's when it's kind of like his full stream of consciousness. But I found that really hard to read earlier, I'm not gonna lie, so I'll see how this one goes.
I sing this song.
I have got just under 100 pages left of Penance, so let's have a little chat about it. We are following 4 teenage girls after the murder, like really brutal murder of another teenage girl. And these 4 are all kind of involved in it. 3 of them are like directly responsible for it, and then one kind of got caught up in it. She's not actually guilty of anything, but she was believed guilty for a long time and still is by a lot of the public. And it is written in such an interesting way. It's all mixed media, which I really tend to enjoy in a book. The sections are very long, and sometimes, you know, like when it's, I don't feel like this is a thriller, but because it's about a murder, it kind of is, and I feel like I want it to be a bit snappier. But because it's more of an investigation kind of thing, it doesn't read like that. So we have, our narrator is this ex-journalist who is now trying to write a book about this murder. And so he has been meeting with all of the people involved, trying to gather information to write this book about the murder of Joni Wilson. I'm not convinced that this narrator, Alec, has completely transparent intentions. I don't know if there's going to be some sort of twist in relation to that.
but yeah, I really don't know. But we are coming up to the crescendo of the story, I think. So we are about to kind of figure out exactly what happened, because we know at this point how she was murdered. We know a lot of the backstory and build up to that, but we haven't actually got to that day yet. And I think that is about to happen. So we are about to talk about Girl C. And, oh wait. We've talked about girls A, B and D. This section is about girl C, who it appears is the main perpetrator. She's the one who is still in jail, where the others have kind of been released now under parole, but she is still incarcerated and I believe will remain there. So she's definitely either the most responsible or has been convicted as the most responsible. So we're going to kind of see what actually went down that night. Where did everything start to go wrong, and why did everything happen, and what did happen. And I'm looking forward to it. I am enjoying it. I think it's a really interesting concept, and I do think it's well done, but it's just like I said, I'm finding the sections a little bit long at times. But I do think it's all going to come together. I do really appreciate a mixed media book like this. It does remind me of True Crime Story by Joseph Knox, which I really, really enjoyed. At the moment, I don't think I'm enjoying this one quite as much, but a lot can happen in the final 100 pages of book, so I will leave that there. Maybe I'll finish this today, hopefully over the next few days, definitely. Yeah.
Guess what? I forgot to end the vlog. At least I'm consistent though, right? I always forget. I did in fact finish Penance over a month ago and I enjoyed it. I don't think my feelings changed much since the last clip I filmed, so we'll leave it at that. I enjoyed the format. At times felt the sections were a little bit too long, but overall I really enjoyed the story and the way it was written. I'm out of breath. I ended up rating it 4 stars. So as for my predictions, I thought that I was going to enjoy Penance the most and Alice in the Fly the least. I was right about Alice in the Fly, which I ended up rating 3 stars and have not thought about it since. But I was wrong about my favourite, because I rated Penance 4 stars, I rated The Women 4.5, and I rated The Ministry of Time 5. So, obvious winner there. I'm really happy with this. I had a great time reading these books. You might have noticed I haven't set a spring TBR. I just needed a pressure-free moment there for a minute, but I'm thinking I will probably do a summer TBR again. So probably mid to late autumn, you will be seeing a finishing my summer TBR video, but we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Sorry it's really, really late, but better late than never, right? And I will see you next time. Bye.